probably tell, that's me. My name's Mac. I'm 21. I have Autism Spectrum disorder. But from face value, if you saw me on the street, you probably wouldn't know. That's what this story's about. Me putting the pieces together of my life and describing my life growing up with autism. I started out with a late diagnosis in 7th grade, which means my family and I went most of my life not knowing I had this disorder. And a disclaimer, autism doesn't prevent me from doing anything in day-to-day life. All it does is just hinder my ability to do certain things. I am very well aware that I am fortunate to be the way I am. I understand that people experience autism far worse than I do. I want to tell my story with the sole purpose of describing how autism spectrum disorder really is a spectrum. It varies from person to person, case to case, family to family, and to all those who are affected by it. Some people, like myself, can completely function by themselves day-to-day life. You only have problems during social interactions. And if I told you that I have problems with social interactions, you probably wouldn't believe me. Hell, sometimes I don't even believe I have it. And then I'm reminded of my day-to-day life when it comes up. This documentary means a lot to me. It's a way to express the challenges that I faced growing up, but also showcase my triumphs. And it's not to get recognition or to finally have someone notice what I'm going through. It's more of a reassurance to myself that I can do things that I've been told that I couldn't. And I can thrive in situations that I didn't think I would be able to. It's a personal thing, a personal goal of mine to be able to tell my story. Not that it's super interesting or it's super important, but I wanted to use myself as an example. Whether that be for the 13-year-old kid like myself who got diagnosed late and now doesn't know what his life is going to be like, or maybe even for the parents who were just informed that their child has autism. I want to serve as the example that just because there's a label doesn't mean the worst is going to happen, and that the expectations that you may have might not even be true. While I was growing up, and even today, I'm considered very high functioning. So much so that sometimes people don't even realize I have autism. This was a challenge for my parents when I was in middle school when they were trying to get me the help that I needed.
There wasn't a time when we went, oh, there's something up. Until junior high?
I think until...
When Mom started to say, I want to get him tested for different things. The school department weren't letting us. They were like, no, he's just ADHD, or, whatever.
No, it was 2nd grade. Oh, remember? And I asked the teacher.
Yeah.
I asked the teacher, and she said, no, he just needs more discipline at home. So then, me being a first-time mom and not knowing anything, and this being a teacher who's been teaching for 25 years, thought, well, she must be right. And
what was my reaction to that?
I don't remember. But then, so then we were taking things away, and you'd have to earn stuff, and then finally, when you get to 3rd grade is when we knew.
It took that long once we got into the junior high,
right?
Before we were like, we need him tested further. They didn't want to test him because you were so high functioning and
right.
And you're smart. You're passing all your classes. You're on the soccer team. They're thinking this kid doesn't need help. It was almost a detriment to you that you were so high functioning. Because they were like, no, we're not going to waste resources on someone that's fine in their eyes.
I can remember the conversation that I had with you. I was on the phone, and I had said, I want to have him tested for Asperger's. And you said, well, what makes you think that? I said, I don't know. There's just something there that I don't think anybody's pinpointed.
But your guidance counselor at junior high was. I can remember the conversation. It was us. The principal, guidance counselor, and the special ed person of the school system, and Mom was saying I would like him tested, and they were arguing against it. And then when we were leaving, and your guidance counselor went, "Yeah, you're on to something." So,
and she's like,
she couldn't tell us straight up because the school system was saying no. So she kind of was like, "Hey, you're on the right track.
I see what you see."
Yeah, I see what you see. So get them tested. Try to get them tested.
It was just such a weird thing to have a diagnosis all of a sudden, because I went from just being a normal kid going to normal classes. It's not like I was in the special ed program. I wasn't. The whole point of the school not wanting to give me help was that I was a normal kid. I was in normal classes. I did fine. But when they started giving me help, it didn't feel like it was help at all. I can remember sitting in this room with this lady, and she had these blocks in front of me. They're probably like just a square, just a normal square of stuff. And she goes, and I'd have to recreate the patterns. And I was like, this is useless. And that led me to believe that this is just, all of it was pointless. The diagnosis was pointless, and it just didn't make sense. And the fact that the help that I was getting at the school didn't make sense either. It was just like, it didn't give me any answers. It didn't give me any closure. It didn't give me any explanation. It's just like, okay, now I'm doing these things outside of classes that don't help me and that feel pointless.
So I said, forget it. And then we took you to some place and you had speech and...
in that place that you hated. God, you hated it.
We only went a few times.
Oh,
it's only a few times.
Yeah, I know. I think it was the first time or whatever. But I had to pick you up. I picked you up. You came out. You sat down next to me and go, Dad, I hate it. I'm like, well, what's the matter? You go, the kid thinks he's a pirate. He acts like he's a pirate. I go, yeah, well, he's just playing. You go, no. He thinks he's a pirate.
You were supposed to be the typical kid.
You were miserable. It wasn't a good place for you.
No. So
they were using you as
a role model.
Where they wanted the other kids to get to. And you're sitting there going, if, to this day, if I say, oh yeah, Mac, he's autistic. Like let's say a guy from work. He is? No one can tell. Looking at you or the way that you behave, even back then, if you're not looking for it, or if you don't know,
most of the time.
Well, yeah, but still, you know what I mean? But most of the time, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. From talking to you, you wouldn't think anything. If someone just meets you, they don't think there's something off with this kid, or something's, he's not getting what I'm saying, or, that doesn't happen, and it didn't back then.
In the eyes of other people, I do teeter on this line of, I'll believe them or I won't, which stinks, because if you get into the people that believe me when I tell them I'm on the spectrum, it's then grouped into two categories, whether they're going to treat me differently or they're going to treat me the exact same. It's like, if I didn't tell them, they weren't going to treat me any different, but when I got comfortable enough and I opened up and I said, hey, I'm on the spectrum, and they start to treat me differently, it's a weird feeling. And that's why I'm kind of not secretive about it, but I'm not as open about it. As closed off as I am about being on the spectrum, I've had to learn how to accept it. And that's something that's come with age. And I expect to become more accepting of it as I get older. I'm not intimidated by the future or anything. I'm optimistic. Because I know that I have the tools and I have the experience not to let this disorder prevent me from doing anything I want. I believe that life is going to present its beauty to me in pieces. It's going to be up to me to decide what to do with them. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I'm not going to let anything hold me back from achieving what I want. Disorder or not, I have to live my life to its fullest potential and see the results of everything that I've been working for. And I can't wait to use every opportunity that I get to put the pieces together.